Hello, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Camera. Here we are with episode 101. First of all, I would like to apologize for the delay in getting today's episode out. The last few weeks have just been incredibly busy on my end, and sometimes life just gets in the way. But here we are now, and I'm excited for you to hear this episode. But before we get into today's show, if you would like to follow Behind the Camera across social media, you can find my link tree in the description. That will take you to Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, and also has the link to where you can buy my book, Behind the Camera, The Journey So Far. This is available in both paperback and ebook and is free to read if you have Kindle Unlimited. If you also want to see more of the behind the scenes side of the podcast, you can also support the show on Patreon. For £3 a month, you'll get access to extra content, including a Patreon exclusive series, your name added to the wall of patrons at the end of every episode of Behind the Camera, and much more. But now, getting into today's conversation. Today I am joined by Alan Lazaros, founder and CEO of Next Level University. At the beginning of the year, I was actually fortunate enough to be a part of an NLU group coaching program with Alan, Amy Lenius, and Kevin Palmieri. So I've seen up close just how powerful their work is at Next Level University. Sitting down with Alan to talk about his journey and what success really means was something I genuinely appreciated, and I hope you enjoy listening today. So now, here's the interview. Alan, welcome to Behind the Camera podcast. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. How are we doing today?
We are overwhelmed, but in a good way. In a good way. Andy, thank you for having me. I do not take that lightly. And for anyone who is watching or listening, the 21st century is extremely noisy. I do not take it lightly that you're listening to us. So thank you for your attention. I believe that is the most valuable asset you have, is what you pay attention to.
And I couldn't really echo that anymore as well. It is such an important thing, especially in this day and age. So, Alan, you are the CEO of Next Level University. But of course, your story doesn't start there. It really kind of came from a near fatal car accident you had at 26 years old. So, but obviously, I will not tell the story. This is yours to tell. So, let's go back to there and talk about life surrounding that incident and what led you into NLU.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, it took me a long time to even talk about any of this stuff. I spent the first 26 years of my life not talking about this at all, but when I was 2 years old, so I was born and raised in Massachusetts in 1988, I was born, so I'm 37 now. And in 1991, my birth father, John McCorkle, died in a car suddenly. So from 1992 to the early 2000s, I had a stepfather named Steve Lazaros. So when my dad died, so he was part of a big Irish Catholic family. It was Jim, Joe, John, Jane, Joan, Jeanette. 6 kids, all J. And my mom at the time of my dad's death was 31. I was almost 3. My sister was almost 6, my older sister, Krista. Stepfather came into the picture. His name was Steve Lazaros. That's why my last name is Lazaros. So I changed my last name from McCorkle to Lazaros, I think around age 7. Mm-hmm. That was my choice, or at least it seemed like it was. My mom said, "Do you want to change your name?" And I said, "Yeah," trying to be the Lazaroses. And so from 1992 to the early 2000s, I playfully refer to my life as Boats and BS. And what I mean by that is my stepfather and my mom. So my stepfather worked for a company called AGFA. They did AGFA. They did hospital computers during the .com era. And those were like wild economic boom times, particularly in the US, but globally. The .com bubble before it burst was like just a ton of economic growth. And so we had boats and ski trips, and I had Xbox and Dreamcast and N64. And like, we had friends who had money, and we had a yacht, motorcycles, snowmobiles, grew up on a lake. Like, we weren't crazy rich, but it seemed like back then, now in hindsight, as a 37-year-old man, that like it seemed like everybody had like a lot of extra capital.
Yeah.
And that's definitely not the case, anymore to the same extent anyways. And when my stepdad left, he took 95% of the income with him. So when I say boats and BS, what I mean is my mom and stepdad they had what I call a pleasure-centered paradigm. They believed that life was about having as much fun as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone with that paradigm, long term, that usually ends up not very good. My paradigm is growth, personal development, self-improvement. It wasn't at the time. So now I'm about 14 years old. Stepdad leaves. This is the hardest year of my life. I didn't know it at the time. Takes 95% of the income with him. I go from boats and ski trips. Mom trades in her BMW for a little Honda Civic. He got the yacht and the apartment building. I got the house. We got the house and the dog. And we didn't have cable. I had free lunch at school because our income was so low. I went from I hope I get into college to even if I do get in, I can't go. My dream college was WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute. It's an engineering school in Massachusetts. It's like a mini MIT. And it was $50,000 a year back then.
Oh.
Yeah. So my uncle Merle was the track and field coach there on my mom's side, and they still call it Norcross Field. So my dream was to go to WPI, and I went from I hope I get in to even if I do get in, I can't go because we can't afford it. Stepdad leaves, takes his entire extended family with him. Haven't seen or spoken to a single one of them since. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Talked to my stepdad on Facebook Messenger a little bit in my 20s and then a little bit more in my early 30s. Haven't spoken to the man in person. Haven't seen him. Okay. Same year, 14, hardest year of my life. Didn't know that at the time. My mom gets in a fight with my Aunt Sandy, and we get ostracized from her side of the family. To this day, Andy, I've only seen or spoken to 2 human beings from her side.
Wow.
And we don't associate with the McCorkles anymore because we're being the Lazaroses, quote unquote. So I kind of lost 3 full families by the time I was 14.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I look into the future, no trust fund, no generational wealth, no dad. Like I'm in trouble, we're in trouble. Fortunately, my trauma response to all of this, and this is not normal, I realize now, my trauma response to all this was aim higher, work harder, get smarter. That is not necessarily most people's trauma response. So there's 4 trauma responses. There's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. I learned about fawn in my late 20s, early 30s. Fawn means you appease. So there's 2 worlds we all live in. You're in group coaching, so you know this: social world and real world. The social world is your Instagram. The real world is your bank account. The social world is the wedding photos. The real world is the actual marriage. The social world is what people think of you, and the real world is how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself, when you wake up. So fawn, social world, I became this sort of chameleon coward. Fit in, fit in, fit in. Don't lose any more friends and family. Don't lose any more friends and family. Don't lose any more friends and family. Understandable, right? You lose 3 families. All you know is abandonment. How do I keep friends and family? How do I not lose anymore? Because all I've done up until 14 was basically lose. But behind the scenes, when no one was around in the real world, it was aim higher, work harder, get smarter. It was like the chip on my shoulder, like you wouldn't effing believe.
Yeah.
It's so much drive. It wasn't even funny. So I got straight A's through all of high school. I got what's called the President's Award signed by George W. Bush. It's behind me. And 16 report cards straight, 4 years, 4 report cards each. You know, the obnoxious kid at the award ceremony that just keeps getting up for award after award. Yeah. I got into WPI. I got all the scholarships and financial aid that I possibly could. I go to WPI, I get my computer engineering degree, electrical and computer. It's called ECE.
Yeah.
Bachelor's. And then I get my master's in business. And then I'm in corporate. So I did the traditional path. I did preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, corporate, and I absolutely crushed it at the tail end. So at this point, I'm in my early 20s. I paid off $84,000 worth of college debt in a single year. I'm making almost $200,000 a year at this point. So I went from 65 to 85, 85 to 105, 105 to 125, and then I peaked at 180 in corporate. And tech company, iRobot, Sensata Technologies, a little company called Oz Development. Eventually landed at a company called Cognex that sells industrial automation equipment into manufacturing facilities all across the world. My customers, so Vermont, Connecticut, and Western Massachusetts was my territory. I was a sales engineer, outside sales engineer, started inside sales, outside sales, and big companies like Unilever, GE,
Yeah.
Covidian, these kinds of companies, Ben and Jerry's, which is owned by Unilever, but these are just manufacturing facilities. So I'm in my early 20s and I'm doing very, very well financially, which is what I thought was the solution to the pain and suffering of growing up because we didn't have any money when my stepdad left. Pay off all the debt from college. I have $500 a month for rent. I don't have any kids. I'm living with my girlfriend, Courtney, at the time. I'm 26 years old. I'm making a ton of money. And I have a $5,000 car I bought in cash because I grew up with so little after my stepdad left. I didn't need much to be happy.
Yeah, of course.
And so now I'm just banking the money and I put it all in the stock market, Vanguard, different index funds. And I did very well because I knew which tech companies would win. And no one really knows, but when you understand the economy, it's not hard to choose companies that you think will win, right?
Exactly.
So I did very well in the stock market too. And then I get in my car accident. So I'm 26 years old at the time, 2015, dark winter night. Supposed to yield, I don't. The yield sign is covered by the snowbanks. I get in a head-on collision with a lift-kitted pickup truck. The truck goes up and over my car goes under it. Fortunately, I was driving that 2004 Volkswagen Passat because I refused to buy a depreciating asset. So that car totally saved my life. Thank you, Volkswagen. I literally used to call it the tank. German engineered steel trap of a car. I used to call it the tank. No BS. And so that totally saved my life because the lift-kitted pickup truck went up and onto my car. This is a 30-mile-an-hour head-on collision. This was not a fender bender. This was like not good. Fortunately, no one was killed. It would have been my fault. But we're definitely rattled for sure. And for me, that was the second chance my dad never got. And I'm 26 at the time. My dad was 28 when he died.
Wow.
And that was my sort of quarter life existential crisis. That was my mortality moment. That was my ego death. And I was filled with regret, not because I was a bad person, but because I hadn't faced my past yet. Kind of like the Lion King's a good metaphor for my life, you know, Hakuna Matata, and like go off. And then you have to go back to Pride Rock and realize the truth and like how bad a lot of things were. Cause I think I was unconsciously running from how atrocious my childhood was. And so now you kind of go back to your essence and who you are. Now I'm 37, so that was 11 years ago. I started a little company called Alan Lazaros LLC, what you'll never learn in school but desperately need to know, because I found personal growth, personal development, and self-improvement, and I went down the rabbit hole. Stephen Covey, Tony Robbins, all the Atomic Habits, Compound Effect, all these books. And I'm sitting there going, where was all of this in school?
Yeah.
Time management, productivity, finance, fitness. What's the deal? So 11 years ago, that happens, and I start going down this sort of new path of reaching my full potential. And I was an inspirational, motivational, and educational speaker. And good luck getting speeches at high schools and colleges with that tagline, by the way. What you'll never learn in school, but desperately need to know. Let me come in and call you out for all the shit you're not teaching. But at the end of the day, now we have a podcast called Next Level University, 24-person team, you know, very successful now. And again, success is relative, right? But it's still that same through line, Andy, which is what you'll never learn in school, but desperately need to know. That is literally what I do every day, is try to fill in the gaps in awareness of people who don't understand themselves, others of the world, or have a gap in awareness, because you can't make effective decisions with inaccurate data.
Yeah, of course. And it's really interesting, the notion of hindsight. You know, when you look back at everything that's happened compared to like let's say your situation just before the crash, to compare it to now, for example, you look back and think, you know, I was successful at then, and, you know, I've done so well. I've really kind of come up from a bad situation, but, you know, like you say, you realize you were only kind of just running from it at the time. You weren't really kind of dealing with it, but it's kind of amazing what sort of, I think the notion of success can really do to like your mindset about things, because on paper you could be success, and like you say, success is relative. But it sounds like your journey's kind of this notion of success has shifted from, say, like monetary to more of a self-fulfillment and personal development kind of way. Would I be right in saying?
Yeah, I think before it was, I have these 4 buckets that I can share that I think we all go through,
Hmm.
and I went through them all. And the kicker here is I think everyone's trying to get to that 4th bucket, even if they don't know it. And I'll explain. So bucket 1 is you are both externally unsuccessful and internally unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
So think of a time in your life when you were externally unsuccessful and internally unfulfilled. For me, I was a cart kid and a busboy for a golf course called Crystal Lake. And in hindsight, it was terrible. Hated it. Make minimum wage. And while I was grateful to have a job, it was not a good environment. Not a huge fan of the golf course environment personally, just my preference.
Fair.
There's a little bit of people with the whole, yeah, I make. It's like, you know what? Someone should punch you right in your throat. But anyways, so did you know this is overcooked? Like, it's like, you know what? Not a fan.
Yeah.
But anyways, so externally unsuccessful. I'm not winning by any means. And I'm internally unfulfilled. That's the worst bucket. That's where we all start, by the way.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody starts there, unless you're born into wealth, in which case you start out externally successful, but you're definitely internally unfulfilled. The second bucket is the one that I climbed to. And that's external success, but internally unfulfilled. I mean, I was high school friends to college friends to corporate, 12 fraternities, 5 sororities. We had a blasty blast. And I'm making money and we're doing it. I have a thriving social life, but I'm unfulfilled internally. I'm neglecting my health and fitness. I'm spread too thin with too many people. I remember at one point I was afraid I was going to be in 11 weddings. It's like in the wedding party of 11 weddings because I had so many friends. And I know that sounds awesome. It was honestly, I'm not a fan. I think I'm actually an introvert, even though I seem so extroverted. But again, I had that same like chameleon thing of don't lose any more friends and family, don't lose any more friends and family, right? So I was hanging on to these relationships that really needed to sail away from. So the second bucket is I am externally successful. Now I'm making a bunch of money. There's no more money problems really. Now I'm investing in the stock market. I make a ton of money, way more than I spend. So I'm externally successful in the economy, but I'm internally unfulfilled. Because it's not meaningful work. This is the thing that I hope lands for everybody. What is meaningful work for you is rarely what the economy pays the most for.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
The truth is the economy is designed to pay for the biggest pain in the A.
Yeah.
The biggest pain in the A is rarely the most fulfilling work.
Oh, yeah. Okay? Corporate, for example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's supply and demand. If only a certain amount of people want to do that, then that's why you got to find the love child between what's meaningful work for you and what the economy pays a lot for. So what's meaningful work for me is coaching. What the economy pays a lot for is helping people grow their businesses. Okay. So that's the love child. So bucket 2 is you're externally successful and internally unfulfilled. That's the next step. The third bucket, after my car accident, now I'm super fulfilled, happy, healthy, productive, fitness model, fitness competitor, fitness coach, Alan Lazaros LLC, what you'll never learn in school, but desperately need to know. But I liquidated all my assets and I went broke. So now I love my life and I love myself, but I can't sustain it. Mm-hmm. That was Kevin and I, first year in business, made $0, right? And back in the Alan Lazaros LLC days, I only made, I don't know, probably a couple thousand a year, maybe in those early days. So that's the third bucket where you're deeply fulfilled. You love yourself. You love your work. You're in alignment with your passion and your purpose and your obsession, but in a good way, but you're not profitable. That's where a lot of entrepreneurs find themselves. Then if you stick it out, which is the hardest part, you eventually get to the fourth bucket. And the fourth bucket is where you are externally successful and internally fulfilled. And the meaningful work that fills you up is also what you get paid for. That is like ridiculously hard to do. If I were looking at the statistics, I would say maybe 1% of people ever get there. And I've been coaching now for 11 years, and I coach some multimillionaires, and very rarely do I see someone who is externally successful in the economy who is also deeply fulfilled internally.
Yeah.
Almost never, actually, almost never. And those are the two types of clients I get. I get people who are unsuccessful, but they love their work, or they hate their work and they're super successful, and their work isn't aligned with who they are and what they want to do in the world. And so those are kind of the two types.
Yeah.
And then there's the occasional person who's deeply fulfilled and super successful, but wants to continue scaling it. And that's a mountain that gets higher as you climb it. So those are the 4 buckets. And we all have to go through all 4. I don't think you can just jump to the 4th one. I think you have to earn it. And I think you have to figure it out for yourself. I don't think people can give it to you. And I think as someone who had quite an aversion to handouts, I'm grateful in hindsight that because here's the thing. If people give you a fish and you never learn to fish, you're in some serious trouble. It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
But to fish, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime, man or woman, and then give a man a fish or a woman, and they eat once. And I think that happens quite a bit, actually. That like happens a lot. I know some people who grew up wealthy, and they, quite frankly, one of the women that I dated in the past, she had pretty much everything handed to her, and she was pretty unfulfilled. And I think the reason why is because she didn't develop the skills internally, the grit, the resilience, the belief, the worth, that's what we really want. Real security and certainty comes from a belief in yourself and your own skills and your own awareness and capabilities. And no one can take that from you. So hopefully that's what we focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I 100% agree with you about the buckets. And it's not an analogy I'd ever heard before, but as you were listing them out, I was able to pick a time in my life that it completely and wholly resonated with me. And it was kind of scary how quick that came. Like, I look back, like, post-university for myself was the bucket 100%. I was in a shit part-time job that wasn't paying, toxic relationship, and it was just, you look back, you might not realize it at the time, but yeah, that's sort of the worst end of both right there. But I also think that as much as everybody strives for bucket 4, being internally fulfilled, externally successful, sometimes people might think that they get there at a different point in their life, but I kind of think you need to get that experience in maybe working some of these bad jobs or having these bad experiences to really understand. Because whenever I was about 23 years old, I got into my first proper corporate job, and that's kind of where I was in my life. That's what I was kind of striving to do. And it paid well. It was, good. And I was kind of coming into like a different sort of period in my life. So I kind of thought I was kind of externally successful and internally fulfilled. But then within about 6 months, I was back to bucket 1, man. And it's certainly crazy how that can just fluctuate based on like your entire.
When you say you went back to bucket 1, do you mean that you lost your job?
No, just that I realized that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And like,
yeah,
I felt successful, but then again, this goes back to the whole success is relative. And but for those listening, I would like to know what you think about the whole bucket analogy and where you would say yours has happened in your lives in the comments of this episode. I'd be very curious to see. But
nice.
Yeah, Alan, so this is actually kind of something I'm very curious about. What is your definition of success?
So thought about that a lot. I think if anyone gets anything from this episode, I hope it's that there's like this constant contemplation. I think the only wrong answer is to stop looking for answers. So I don't think there is one necessarily answer. But what I will say is at 37, I call myself Alan version 3.7. Alan version 3.7 is so much more aware and so much more capable than 2.7. And 2.7 was way more aware and capable than 1.7. I think the iPhone's a good metaphor for that. This is the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I think they have the 17 or the 18 now. I don't even know. But the very first iPhone, 2007, was a revolutionary breakthrough product. Now it would be complete garbage compared to this iPhone 16 Pro Max. Like genuinely, like wouldn't even be close. And I think the same is true for us, right? But my definition of success, to answer your original question, at this stage is to be healthy, wealthy, and in love while getting healthier, wealthier, and more in love. Now, okay, what does that mean? So you can go into each one. You can zoom into health, and then there's sleep, hydration, nutrition. So my definition, as simple as I can make it, even though it takes a lifetime to master this, health is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Wealth is how you earn money. In other words, is it meaningful work for you? Is it fulfilling work for you? How much do you make? Is it increasing or decreasing based on where the economy is going? I always say don't sell horses after the car is invented. Some people get mad at me like, well, I love horses. It's a metaphor. It's a goddamn metaphor. Right? It's a fucking metaphor. Right? So it's so funny. No matter what you say, right? So number two is how much you make, increasing or decreasing based on where the economy is going. And then where do you invest it? Not spend it. Where do you invest it?
Yeah.
Everything's an investment, time, effort, money. And then love, intimate relationship, kids if you have them, fur babies. And then you've got extended family. And then you've got friends, clients, colleagues, mentors, mentees, business partners. Like you figure out for you the priority order. Yeah. And that is so key. You have to figure out the priority order. Like, because you will be spread so thin. Like there are people that invest more into their acquaintances than they do their own family. Yeah. There are people who take better care of their Porsche than their own wife. And I'm not interested. I don't care. Your priorities are messed up. And I've had mentors like that in the past. So at the end of the day, you decide for you what success means. For me, it's health, wealth, and love. Those are the categories. And then you can zoom into each of those. Okay, physical health, sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, mobility, breathwork, supplementation. So as an engineer, I have them all broken down. And then I have tracking systems that keep me on track. If you are going to be healthy, wealthy, and in love, if you try to do top 1% in health, wealth, and love, I did the math on this, it's 1 over 100 to the third power, which is 1 in a million. So if you're top 1% in health, top 1% in wealth, and top 1% in love globally, there's 8 billion people on planet Earth, 195 countries, almost 6 billion on the internet. It's a wild time. It's a wild time. Okay. In the last, 60 years, the population's doubled. It's crazy. So my point is, you better figure this out and figure it out quick for you, because otherwise you're in someone else's game. And to be healthy, wealthy, and in love, you are top 1 in a million if you are top 1% in health, wealth, and love. It's very hard. That's 3 full-time jobs. Seriously. Mm-hmm. Healthy, wealthy, and in love is 3 full-time jobs. And you only have 168 hours a week, 112 if you sleep 8. And that leaves you about 16 hours, waking hours per day. And it's a full-time job, 3 full-time jobs. Yep.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, I think that should really be the benchmark, shouldn't it? Because as humans, these are things that it's in our nature to just crave and thrive on, is these things. To be healthy, wealthy is more of a desire, but in love, I would even say healthy and in love, they're the sort of biggest parts of human nature. Wealthy, bonus. Everyone wants to be it. Not everybody can achieve that. You're more likely to achieve the other things by, putting in the graft. They all take a lot of graft. Like, can't really argue that. But does it get to a point then where it becomes more maintenance than development in terms of that?
Yeah. So I treat it like a tripod, and I do think everyone can become wealthy. And again, I say that with a grain of salt, because obviously certain countries it's way harder.
Yeah.
But if you know how to, buy a bar of soap for $1 and sell it for $3, as a metaphor, you can earn and invest wealth. But you need to study money if you want to. Like, that's one of the things that I find really fascinating is people who want to be financially free that don't study finance. It's like, that's like wanting to be in shape without studying fitness. It doesn't make any sense to me. So everyone wants to be healthy, wealthy, and in love, but not everyone wants to master fitness, finance, and humility, courage, and vulnerability in your relationship. So, but anyways, so I forget your question.
It was does it come to a point where
Yeah,
it becomes more development, or more maintenance than development and growth?
got it. So I do it like a tripod where you only can lift up one leg at a time.
Yeah.
And if one of the legs falls too much, the whole thing falls. So a tripod, if you take away one of the legs, the whole thing falls. And so picture a tripod with success and fulfillment at the top, and then health, wealth, and love as each of the legs.
Mm-hmm.
I try to work on health. Then I go over to love. Then I go over to wealth. And I keep investing my time and effort. So I break everything down and gamify everything. And I'm an engineer. So for me, I've always been trying to figure out, like, why do people live such terrible lives? And I know that sounds mean, but seriously, look around. Like, it's not hard to find miserable human beings. And I remember thinking, like, you only get one life. Why are you smoking like a chimney, drinking like a fish? Like, why don't you value your life? And I saw a lot of that growing up. And so I've been gamifying life. I'm like, okay, what is the point? Is it to have fun? Is it adventure? Like, what is the point? Growth, contribution, right? And what I've got it boiled down to is reaching your full potential. I think fulfillment is a byproduct of reaching your full potential. And I don't think you can reach your full potential unless you're healthy, wealthy, and in love, getting healthier, wealthier, and more in love. So it's a mountain that gets higher as you climb it, because your full potential is basically an asymptote. You never get there, but you always keep climbing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you break down life, we all have three resources. This is what I've got it boiled down to. We all have time, effort, and money. And we all invest that time, effort, and money into different persons, places, things, and ideas. And if you invest your time, effort, and money wisely into the optimal persons, places, things, and ideas, then you'll get results that are positive that then bring more resources. And I think life is very much a game of resources. So, for example, I'm investing my time and effort into this podcast, and if I wasn't fulfilled by that, would that be bad? Yes. Okay, why? Because then I wouldn't have more to give.
Yeah.
So you have to, it's like a tree, right? It needs to, the fruit that it provides, it needs to gain water and sunshine and rain to get the fruit. And if the tree doesn't gain enough nutrients to provide the fruit, it will eventually die. And so the ecosystem, just like the economy, is an ecosystem and economy are supposed to be synonymous, right? That's the metaphor. It's like the birds poop on the grass grows, the cows eat the grass, you get it.
Yeah.
And the economy is the same thing. It's supposed to be anyways. And with your life, you have to understand that your time and effort is being invested to make money. And then you're supposed to take that money and invest it to get more time and effort back. And I think that we just use money poorly. It's like, if you look at the stats, our priorities and our values are very skewed, because we're buying things of low utility. So for me, I'm extremely practical, and I try really hard to help other people be. So this is what I've got it boiled down to for my clients. If you measure the right things, then you'll focus on the right things.
Yep.
If you focus on the right things, you'll invest your time, effort, and money into the right persons, places, things, and ideas, which will create results that you want. And then that results that you want can get reinvested back into that loop. So there's the doom loop and there's the success loop. That's what I call it. So my job as a coach is to keep you out of the doom loop. The success loop is, I believe in the future, so I'm going to invest in the future, and then my future is going to get brighter. That's the success loop. The doom loop is, the future's not bright anyway, I'm going to stop investing in it, and then it gets worse, which is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So I don't care about my future, so I'm going to drink alcohol. I'm not going to invest in my future, so my future gets worse, which makes me want to drink more alcohol. It's a doom loop. And my job is to keep people out of the doom loop, because that's nihilism. Nihilism is hopelessness, right? And so if you have hope for your own future, maybe you'll invest in your own future. Why would someone run on the treadmill if they didn't believe in their own bigger, better, brighter future. They wouldn't. It wouldn't make any sense,
No,
right? So you're not going to invest time, effort, and money into something you don't believe in. And if you don't believe in yourself, that's where we got to start.
definitely. Yeah. And like it sounds as well that a lot of it with time, effort, and money comes down to, like we mentioned before, having your priorities straight. Like what are you putting your time into, or how much time are you putting into certain things? I think it's more the what comes first, and then how much of each you're kind of balancing into each of these, how much effort you put into something once you figure out what. And then, because I find with that, and I've been guilty of this, I'm sure most people are, almost find you putting too much stock in the effort on different things. And then with that, you kind of lose your time. You put all this effort into, you kind of thinking, oh shit, I don't have the time to do this. It's like, well, you do. You just need to kind of manage these things a little bit better. And then effort. Sometimes I think too much effort as well is a problem. Sometimes these things don't need, like I have sat at my computer to all hours, putting what I think is maximum effort into maximizing my brand. And I've gotten nowhere after like 3 hours of work, for example, where I could have had that time, that time could have been invested more wisely into different things. So I think it's kind of like a sort of a mashup of priorities, and not really kind of understanding what it is that, maybe being a bit too quick in terms of what it is you want to do, maybe looking for the end result a little bit quicker than it's naturally supposed to come.
Well, the thing that I think clarity is the unsung hero of everything. So, for example, like Alan 3.7, I'm very clear on what I'm here for. I'm not fully.
Yeah.
Like I'm not as clear as I'm gonna be, but I'm clearer than I was at 17. I'll tell you what. Right at 17, you don't know who you are. Like
you think you do, but you're not.
I made a joke to Kev recently. I know you know Kev.
Yeah.
My business partner. I said there are no deeply fulfilled, wildly in love 17-year-olds that are married. There are, like, why? Because you don't know what the hell you're doing. There are no deeply fulfilled 17-year-old like people that are at 17 that are married. Like, just like there's no self-made 18-year-old millionaire. It's you don't really know much. This is the problem with life. This is it, like right here. Life is super complex, and it takes a lifetime to learn it and an even greater lifetime to master it. And so all you can do is hope. This is what I would say to people: clarity about yourself, others, in the world. I say we all have three 4K TVs. We're all stuck in a room with three 4K TVs. Okay. One of them's staticky, one of them's in regular definition, and one of them's in HD. All right. It's yourself, others, in the world. So growing up, mine was the world, engineer. I understood. I built my first computer at 12. I understood the economy at a very young age, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, business, finance. Like that was my clear TV. But I didn't have self-awareness. I didn't look inward. All I saw was pain when I looked at my own past. So I avoided the past and the self-awareness piece to learn what wasn't painful, which was the world. And so I know the world really well, but I didn't know the self. Kevin was the opposite. He knew his self really well, but he didn't know the economy at all. Dude had no clue. And so all of us, we're all like self-driving cars with a messed up map. Yeah. And we keep driving off a cliff thinking it's a road and then blaming the world or blaming the government or blaming ourselves or blaming our parents. Like the truth is you just think inaccurately. If you don't know about gravity, you jump out of a window, you're going to break your legs. Like knowledge is important, and you just need to understand yourself, others, in the world. So every client I coach, they have one TV that's staticky, one that's blurry, and one that's so static they don't know anything about themselves, others, of the world. One is blurry, which they kind of know, and then one of them is HD. I had this one client once. She's like, you know what it is? I don't have high enough self-awareness. BS. You're a therapist. You know yourself better than almost anyone I know. Like, that is not the problem. And I said to her, I said, honestly, you don't know anything about the world. You don't know the economy. You didn't even know there's 195 countries. Like, I knew more about your home country than you did. GDP, all this stuff. She doesn't even know what GDP is. That's okay. I'm not making fun of her.
No, of course.
I'm just saying you have to start with self-awareness. Like, if you think self-awareness is the issue and you have 10 out of 10 statistical self-awareness, I promise you that's not the issue. But that's the irony. People who think they're self-aware, it's actually low. People who think they're not self-aware, it's actually high. You probably think you're not self-aware, Andy, which means it's probably high. And I've got Dingus Jones who thinks he's the most self-aware dude in the world. And here I am saying I have low self-awareness, right? The truth is, everyone out there, clarity is the unsung hero of all success, even if you don't know it. Oh, yeah. Contemplation cures clarity. Contemplation solves that. Constant contemplation. It sounds like a goddamn phone contact company. Constant contemplation. Call now. 1-800-CONSTANT-CONTEMPLATE. No, but figure out for you, is it yourself, others, or the world? Everyone has one TV that's really good, green, one that's yellow, and one that's red. Fix the red one. The red one is the issue. I find it so difficult. ChatGPT and all these AIs are so overly affirming. Like, you're the best. No, you're not.
Oh God, yeah.
No, you're not. If I'm your coach and I just show up and say, you're already amazing, you're great, people don't need more validation.
No.
They need to identify their fucking blind spots.
Oh, for sure.
You're not more successful because you don't believe enough in what you already believe.
Yeah.
You're not more successful because you have massive freaking blind spots and you're like a self-driving car with old MapQuest maps.
Yeah. And do you know, at that point on ChatGPT, it's a little bit of a side note, but I challenge you to, and this is like for you, Alan, and for everybody who is listening, tell ChatGPT something that you're planning on doing, right? And of course, it'll be as affirming as ever. It'll even give you the step-by-step instructions. And then in the next message, tell it that you're going to do the exact opposite of that. Now, be as creative as you want with that. See what happens. I mean, you won't be surprised, but you'll be thoroughly entertained.
Tell us what happens.
It just says, I think that's a great idea. I think, yeah, you should definitely do this. It's just like, what the fuck's the point?
Yeah, it's designed to get you to keep using it.
Oh, for sure.
It's designed 100%. To get you to keep using it. And the world is becoming overly validating. Like, I don't want to be unkind, but like, if you're overweight, the first step to solving that is admitting it.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
You're not, why would you work on something you didn't think was a problem?
Oh, yeah.
Raise the standard.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself. Are you healthy, wealthy, and in love? Everyone has a green, yellow, red. Which one's the one that you suck at? And then get to work.
100%. And that's something that actually personally has resonated with me for the last 15 years. Since I was 17, weight has been an issue for me, but it took me till I was probably in my early 20s, I'll say. I would realize it's like, yeah, I yo-yo far too much. This becomes a problem far too fucking much. But nice. I get to the point where it's like, okay, I know how to fix it. Nice. There's the extra push is that little bit of discipline that I sometimes need more times than others. But
saw you just joined our fitness group, brother. I'm excited.
Exactly. Yeah, man, me too. It's very, very needed. And there's one last thing I wanted to touch on just before, I'm very conscious of time here, but just before we go here. So on the notion of clarity, obviously we've talked about your journey going into Next Level University, but this is something that I picked up on from Next Level University podcast, which if you don't listen to, make sure you do. It's very, very valuable information in that every single episode with Alan and Kevin Palmieri.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. But there was a possibility at one point for you to go into professional gaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So very quickly, if you don't mind, telling us about that and where did that start and what could have been? Obviously, because mentioned the clarity, don't have the clarity on what could have been, but I'm just curious as to how that could have went, man.
Yeah, the joke that I make is I was an idiot. I decided to get a girlfriend and go to college. No, so Halo 1. Okay. Did you ever play Xbox Connect? Were you a Halo player? You big on Halo?
I was Halo 1, Halo 2? Wasn't really an Xbox guy growing up.
Okay, no worries. So growing up, Halo 1, this is like Ethernet. There was something called Xbox Connect, where pre-MMO, pre-console online gaming. I'm talking pre-Xbox Live, no BS. We would play. You could do something called System Link on the Xbox.
Yes.
Back in probably the early 2000s, I want to say, and we would have LAN parties, is what they're called, and then we would actually link up our Xboxes through Ethernet, through the internet. You hook it up to your computer, and then there's a UI called Xbox Connect where you can basically system link across the world. It was pretty laggy. You had to like shoot way ahead of them in order to lead them, unless you were the host, in which case you had no lag. So you had like a huge advantage. But Halo 1, I played with some of the best players in the world, Zyos, Ogre 1, Ogre 2, these guys. And if you're not a gamer, you're not going to recognize any of this. But and then in Halo 2 is when I really took off. And I was 20th in the world, team deathmatch, Bungie.net. I used to check every night, Bungie.net. And I was one of the top team deathmatch players on the planet. And I played with some of the best people in the world. And one of the guys on my team, his name was Strongside, his gamer tag. He kept taking the sniper rifle, and I ended up kicking him off my team. And he ended up on Final Boss, which was the most successful team in Halo pro gaming history. Wow. So, and I was better than him by a significant margin back then. But then I got a girlfriend. I went to college like an idiot. I'm kidding. And Ogre 1 and Ogre 2 went down in history as Final Boss went down in history as the best, basically console gaming team in esports history. So, but my gaming career, I won some tournaments, I local tournaments and stuff. It was nothing crazy. But I was semi-pro for sure in hindsight. And I definitely had to make a conscious choice to pursue my other dreams. So for me, it was going to be lawyer, politician, president, or it was going to be MBA or engineer, MBA, CEO. Mm-hmm. And Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, I used to argue who's smarter, Microsoft, Apple, me and Kiki, we were going to start a company called LazCore, all kinds of stuff. We built computers together, and we had PC Gamer magazine, and I'm nerding out pretty hard now, but we were like, I was a dreamer, man, big time dreamer. And ultimately I ended up going down the CEO road, which I've now landed on this, which is it came full circle.
Yeah. But you know what? It sounds as though like you wouldn't change it for the world. And especially we've all got a dream. We've all got a dream. And I think when you look back, having done these little things that might have been something, could have been something, we'll never know. Sometimes I think these little things are better off left where they are in their little sort of pocket of history in our lives. And I think it's it's definitely nice to have done them. Like I can certainly resonate with a lot of that myself, especially in the gaming piece.
Andy, I've never been asked that question before. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me.
No, man, of course. But yes, Alan, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on behind the camera. Thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing chatting. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. And very quickly, just before we wrap up, I would just like to give you the floor just for the sake of the listeners. If you would like to just plug yourself, Next Level University, and everything else that you do,
If you're out there and you are interested in learning more about Next Level University, we have nextleveluniverse.com. We have the Next Level University podcast. As Andy mentioned, we do an episode every day. The tagline is success and personal development in your pocket every single day from anywhere on the planet, completely free. That is Next Level University. And if you have high humility, high work ethic, and high self-improvement orientation, you're going to love us. But we are old school. There is no 4-hour work week. There is no, it's all going to work out. There is no overly validating nonsense. Like, it is not affirming. It is very much like, hey, every episode might as well be, hey, do better. Hey, you can do better. Hey, you're better than this. Hey, figure it out. Like, and so if you want an antidote to what's happening in the 21st century where everyone's just validating everybody all the time, like NLU is the tried and true fundamentals. It's a really good place. But if we say this, nothing works unless you work. So if you have an aversion to work ethic, like, you're not going to like anything we do.
No, 100%. And I can personally say, having been in group coaching, like, your guys' teaching style makes you want to work. And I think that is a skill that is, not very many people have, and I genuinely mean that. But yes, Alan, once again, thank you so much for your time. Been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate you.
Pleasure. And there you have it for episode 101 of Behind the Camera. Huge thank you to Alan Lazaros for being today's guest, for sharing his story, and for just an incredible conversation. Be sure to check out Next Level University, links in the description. As always, thank you to all patrons for your support, paid or just followed, you're appreciated. And of course, if you would like to stay connected with Behind the Camera, check out my link tree in the description for all socials and my book, Behind the Camera, The Journey So Far, which is out now. Thank you for listening, for your support, and for being part of the journey. Until next time, take care, stay creative, and I'll see you soon. But until then, peace.